In this video I will show you all the ins and outs of the AMG GT R market, whether or not it's a good time to buy an AMG GT R right now, and which cars are a steal in today's market. What's up YouTube, and welcome to a new video. Now if you are a regular viewer of the channel, then you know that I often make these depreciation analysis for cars which are suggested to me by you, the audience. And that is also the case for this video, because this was requested by Imran. Now if you also want to request a video, then you can do that simply by commenting the name of the car for which you would like to see an analysis down below in the comment section. Also don't forget then to smash that subscribe button so you get actually notified when your requested analysis goes live. Now then, let's talk about the AMG GT R. Obviously, most cars are depreciating assets, but there are some exceptions to this rule. And in this list of exceptions, you will mainly find some limited production Porsches, Ferraris and classic cars. Now what you won't find in that list is an AMG GT R, because the market situation for that car is quite terrible, to say the least. It is however not all bad, because there are also some positive developments, so let's have a look to the market. And as in all my other videos, we first take a broad market perspective and then slowly zoom in to the more detailed numbers, such as the depreciation numbers and which car is a good deal in today's market. Now the AMG GT R market is appearing right over here, where you can see that we have model year on the horizontal axis and the price on the vertical axis. Each of the dots which you see represents a car for sale in today's market, and you can see that the dots have different colors. The blue ones are namely the normal GTRs, whereas the orange one are the AMG GT R Pros. Now in total there are 27 Pros for sale and 130 normal GTRs. And out of these normal GTRs, the coupes make up the main share of the market, and you are probably not surprised to find out that green is the most popular color for the car. What is interesting though over here is that the pricing of the Pro is, with exception of some car, almost the same as it is for a normal GTR. In this video we will however focus on the normal GTRs only, and we will therefore remove the Pros from the graph and add now a depreciation line. You can see however that the depreciation line looks a bit weird. It is namely a straight line. And the reason for this is the huge price variation in each model year. And this price variation is again caused by a large stock of unsold cars from model year 2019 and model year 2018. These cars over here are namely new cars which are not yet sold. Now to get a cleaner depreciation curve, I remove all of these new cars from model year 2019 and model year 2018. Now the new cars from model year 2020 I of course left in the graph. So let's have a look now to the cleaned up depreciation curve, and then we can see that this is not pretty at all. You can see now namely that the average depreciation rate for a GTR is $33,467 per year. And if we look to this from a relative perspective, which you really should do for cars at this price point, then we can see that the average depreciation rate is 60% of the average price of a new car. And at first, the market situation for the AMG GT R seems to be quite terrible due to the high depreciation numbers. There is however also some good news over here. So let's have a look. The depreciation rate of $33,467 per year is namely an average number. And you can see then also from the depreciation curve that this number is so high due to the sharp drop in the first year. It is even so that in the first year of ownership, you can expect to lose an astonishing $53,344 on an AMG GT R. And this is 25% of the car's value. This number however flattens very quickly, as it is only around $16,000 in the second year of ownership. And to me, that price point sounds like a much smarter point to buy at. But the big question of course here is, what about the future prices? Can we expect the same flattening of the depreciation curve to continue going forward? Well, before we can say anything about that, we first need to have a look to the depreciation per 1,000 miles driven. Together with the model year, those are namely driving the main developments in the pricing of a car. And before we have a look to the depreciation per 1,000 miles driven, please make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. It really helps to support the channel. Now, on average, an AMG GT R loses around $8,000 per 1,000 miles driven. However, just as with the depreciation per year, this number is so high due to the new cars. These namely drop by an insane amount in the first year, so when we have a look to the depreciation per 1,000 miles numbers, we need to differentiate between the new, the used and the certified cars. And that is then also exactly what I did in the graph appearing over here, where you can see that we have now the miles on the horizontal axis and the pricing scale on the vertical axis. You can see that the new cars are displayed in blue, the used cars in orange and the used cars which are certified in green. Now if we first look to the horizontal axis, then we can see that the mileages range from very close to 0 to around 18,000 miles. Most of the cars have, however, a mileage of less than 10,000 miles. Now if we look into the depreciation numbers, then you can see that for all the used cars, the depreciation per 1,000 miles is around half of the average number due to the large drop from the new cars. The used cars namely have a depreciation rate of, on average, $4,400 per 1,000 miles driven. And with that in mind, let's have a look to the forecasted values and figure out if we can expect this flattening in the depreciation curve to continue going forward. Now if you want to know the forecasted value for a car for which the depreciation curve is already known, such as a car from model year 2019, then you can of course just follow the depreciation curve. And this will give you a good estimate of the car's value 1 year from now. For a car from model year 2018, we however don't have this depreciation curve yet. And that of course means that we need to forecast the depreciation curve, and the result of that is appearing right over here. You can see that next to the depreciation curve in blue, there are now several orange dots in the graph. And these orange dots represent the price of a 2018 car 1 year from now. And there are so many orange dots because each forecast is based on a 2018 car with a different mileage. Now if we take all of the forecasted points together, then we can see that the average forecasted price is $127,000. And this again means that the model is forecasting a drop of around $13,000 for a 2018 car. And this number makes quite a lot of sense. We saw namely that the depreciation in the second year of ownership was around $16,000. And the model's forecast is lower than this $16,000. And that is of course in line with expectations, as you can expect that the depreciation per year decreases the longer you own the car. Now looking to the future, I also expect that the depreciation per year will decrease with around $3,000 per year. And that is of course for the years of ownership, not displayed in the curve. Now before we have a look as to which car out of the full market offers a good buying opportunity, let's first have a look as to how all of these depreciation rates compare to some other cars in the market, like the Porsche GT3 and the AMG GT S. Now you can see that we have the GT R in blue, the GT3 in orange and the GT S in green. And there are a few interesting things in this graph. First, have a look to the similarity in depreciation curves between the GT S and the GT R. Both have a very steep drop in the first year and then flatten out to a more normal rate. Second, notice how different the curve of the Porsche is. Instead of dropping a lot in the first year, the rate is much more predictable and stable. Now this can of course, to some extent, be explained by the fact that there are very few new GT3s for sale anymore. Only this group of cars over here is actually new. Nevertheless, you can clearly see the difference if you take these new cars over here and follow the depreciation curves. The rate on the GTR is simply a lot higher. If you, by the way, want to see the full depreciation analysis on the Porsche GT3 or the AMG GT S, then you can click on the links appearing right over here. I will also make sure to put the links to those videos in the description of this video, so make sure to check them out if you're interested in that. Now then, so far all of the numbers showed us that if you're in the market for a new AMG GT R, you're in for a quite steep depreciation. The second-hand market, however, offers some excellent buying opportunities, as you can find almost brand new cars which already took this initial depreciation hit. And if you have your mind set on a GTR, then this probably would be the way to go. But which one out of all of the used cars is then the best buy? We can identify those by using a relative value plot, and that is appearing right over here. You can see it with the miles on the horizontal axis and the price on the vertical axis, and that each car is still represented by a bubble. The blue ones are the Pro cars and the orange ones are the normal GTRs. You can see, however, that the size of the bubble varies, and that is because the larger the bubble, the newer the model year. And you of course want to find a car with the newest model year you can afford, with the lowest mileage and for the best price. Now to make life a bit easier, I did exactly that, and I think that especially these two cars over here offer extremely good value for money. The first car over here is namely a 2017 car with only 60 miles and a price of $139,800. And there's no way around it, this is a very competitive price. It is namely almost a brand new car, but with $46,000 in discount on it. Now on top of that, it is also still covered under the factory warranty. Now if you're interested in this car, be sure to check it out. It is for sale at Diamond Motor Works. Now the second car which I think offers good value for money is this 2017 car over here with 2,997 miles. And this car has a selling price of $119,995, and by buying this you would save an additional $20,000 compared to the first car which I showed you. And let's be fair here, a car with 3,000 miles is in essence a brand new car. On top of that, you can also see that the price is very good compared to other 2017 cars which have a much higher mileage. And this car is by the way for sale at 21st Century Auto Group, so be sure to check it out if it looks like it's something you're interested in. And a small disclaimer over here, I pointed out these two cars because I honestly think that these offer good value for money. They are not, and I repeat, not sponsored ads, and they are also not recommendations to buy. You still need to do your own research before purchasing any of these cars. Now wrapping up this video then, after seeing all of those numbers, I think that the conclusion on the AMG GT R market is quite an obvious one. If you namely were to purchase a new AMG GT R, you can expect to take a very steep depreciation hit in the first year of ownership. After that, however, then we saw that the values flatten out quite quickly. Now one important reason for the shape of this depreciation curve, meaning a very steep drop following by quite a strong flattening in the curve, is that there are, relatively speaking, quite many cars for sale. And according to Google, it is then also not 100% certain that there is a production limit to the AMG GTRs. And if we would then assume that there is such a thing as a production limit, then it's also not certain as to what this limit would be. Now looking to the depreciation curve, however, we can conclude that if there is a production limit, that this limit is not very low. Otherwise it would be very unlikely that we would see such a steep drop in value in the first year. On top of that, we saw how much the GTR curve resembles the GTS curve, and that is definitely not a limited production car. Now as always, a huge thank you for watching, and remember to tune in next week for a new depreciation analysis.